HarperCollins presents Captain of Fates by Katherine Webber, read by Michael Obiora and Cristina V.
For Kevin, who makes me believe in true love, and for our daughters, Evie and Mira, who light up my world.
Go past the horizon, across the sea, and there you'll find your destiny. Chapter 1. Marino. Captain Marino Pegassi could not remember the last time he had spent so much time on land. He was at his fourth ball in as many weeks, and had been introduced to countless eligible young ladies who had all started to look the same after a while. It was not that Marino didn't love to dance. He enjoyed a party as much as anyone, maybe even more than most. But where some might become seasick after weeks bobbing above the waves, he found himself becoming waltz-sick after weeks bobbing around the dance floor. The constant spinning round and round and round, the faces changing, but the conversation ever the same. He stayed courteous, bowing to each partner at the end of the dance, even as he heard the whispers from the nobles and royals of Ina, wondering who, if anyone, Captain Marino Pegassi would dance with a second time. He knew he made a striking figure in the ballroom, standing taller than almost all the guests in his perfectly tailored burgundy frock coat and fitted black trousers, with an embroidered waistcoat over his starched ruffled collar and rakishly tied cravat. And of course, he wore his earrings, 3 simple gold studs on one earlobe and 2 small pearls on the other. At these events, Marino had his tightly coiled black curls tied into a knot at the nape of his neck, but a few always managed to spring free, brushing against his cheekbones as he danced. And dance he did, with partner after partner, until the evening came to an end, and he could collapse in a luxurious bed in his guest room at Anadorn Palace, wishing that he was in his own bed on his ship instead. But he knew that would be rude, not only to Queen Rose and King Shen, who were graciously hosting him at Anadorn until his next voyage, but also to his sister Celeste, who expected to see him at breakfast, where they could regale each other with tales of the evening before. Marino feared he was becoming more proud by the day, increasingly unimpressed with the ladies paraded in front of him. He would never admit as much to his sister, or to Rose, who was almost a sister to him. He knew they were trying to help him, and he had learned long ago that when they teamed up, they were a force to be reckoned with. They were certain that this time spent on land, away from his ship, was the perfect opportunity for him to find his match, someone to keep his bunk warm. Someone to care for him, they claimed. So, he kept smiling and laughing and made sure they only ever saw the charming Marino they knew and loved. How could he tell them that for him, love was complicated? Marino had his sights set on a life of adventure, and that meant he was always going to be at sea, looking to the horizon. He was far too much of a gentleman to make any false promises of settling down to the ladies presented to him. In his heart, Marino dreamed of a romance greater than any he could find in a ballroom. It wasn't that he didn't want love. The opposite of it. He wanted the kind of love that inspired grand gestures and epic adventures, the kind of love those closest to him had found. It felt like everyone around Marino was starry-eyed and love-drunk. Everyone but him. Queen Rose and King Shen had wed several months ago, but Rose was still the blushing bride. She could not stop looking at Shen, and when he looked back at her, well, the heat in his gaze was enough to raise the temperature of the entire room. It made Marino feel oddly lonely, in a way he never felt when he was on his own in the middle of the sea. And nothing had surprised Marino as much as Celeste.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?